Hello and good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Business of Property. I'm your host, Cheryl Leon from Property Development Australia. I begin by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which we meet and pay my respects to elders past and present. I extend that respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people here today. At the Business of Property, we interview superstar guests in the property development space and share their expertise, their deals, and their stories to help empower, build, and grow our community of property developers. So hello to Facebook land, LinkedIn, YouTube, and anywhere that you're watching either the live or the replay today. Give me a shout out if you're here. So our guest today, Amit, is the founder of Sahara Homes. So Amit Portia has been an accountant for 17 years. And over the last few years has been building up quite a household name, which is Sahara Homes, which focuses on sort of investment properties and owner-occupied properties in the house and land package, particularly residential. However, we're not here to so much focus on that, although we're going to ask Amit a little bit around how he got into the property space, but to share Amit's story, which is around developing an incredible tourism hub in Nepal. So we're not talking about Southeast Queensland. We're not talking about the middle of Melbourne. We're talking about Nepal, obviously, which is not around the corners in the other side of the globe. And I've been watching a bit of Namit's journey, a few of his Facebook posts, and I said, this is incredible. I'd love to have him share his journey and how this came about. So before I get too excited, I'm going to bring Namit onto the Business of Property dance floor to share with us around his vision, mission, and where he's at on this incredible journey of his. So Amit, please come down to join me.
Hello, Cheryl. How are you?
Hello and good evening. Amit, this is so exciting. You've just come back from Nepal. You returned back on Sunday, so you've had a few days of sleep and probably still recovering.
Yeah.
Amit, tell us a little bit about your sort of experience in the property space to start off with.
Yeah.
Right. How did you end up going from accountant to director of Sahara Homes?
So first, look, thank you very much for having me on the show. I really, really appreciate it. I really do.
It's great to have you here.
Thank you. Journey. So as you've mentioned, I've been a chartered accountant for more than 17 years. That led to me basically being bored, to be honest. When you work in the profession for so long, and I came here in Australia on a student visa back in '99. Didn't know much of English, so had to struggle through the way, and then got my degree in about 2003. When you get an accounting degree as an international student in Australia, you have this sort of a compulsion to get a job in accounting. It's not necessarily a passion or anything, but because you've studied, you want to get a job and just experience that what an accounting does. So from 2003 through to 2017, basically, I would say, I went into the profession, I worked hard, and as a result, at the end of 2015, I became a chief financial officer of a mining company. So when I reached at that level, I thought, well, the next level up is a CEO. So do I really want to become a CEO of a large sort of organization? And the answer to me was no. I just didn't enjoy the politics. The whole thing was not for me. And it took me 15 years to realize that. So then I said to myself, what can I do from here? What are other options? So the easiest thing to do was to get into mortgage broking because I had a finance background. So I got into mortgage broking. I did that for about 1.5 years. And suddenly an option in property came about. And a guy who was developing said, look, do you feel like selling property? I said, look, I don't know anything about property. Well, he said, you're an accountant, so you can talk about negative gearing and tax and all the benefits that property has to offer. So you can probably focus on investment properties. I said, okay, well, that's interesting. So I just basically picked up the phone and rang about 6 or 7 close friends and said to them, look, are you interested in buying a property? Queensland is growing from a population growth, infrastructure point of view. I think Queensland is the place to be over the next sort of 5 to 10 years. I see at least 50% capital growth in the next 5 to 6 years, and this was back in 2017. So obviously we've grown more than that. And all 6 actually bought. And obviously I was making about 2,500 in commission on mortgage per deal when I was mortgage broking. And this was obviously a lot more generous. So I thought,
I think we're on to something here.
Yeah, that's right. So that's basically the start of the property journey. And from then on, I started sort of adding value through what I knew. And because I guess the value proposition that I had was a bit more different, a bit more than any other sort of a property consultant. So I did about 17 properties in the first year, and then nearly double the next year. So that's how sort of it began, and the word of mouth just grew. And because I have an amazing community in the Nepalese community, I mean, the support there was just enormous, absolutely phenomenal. So that's basically, that's my story about property.
Excellent. And so tell us this, where did this idea of developing a tourism hub in Nepal come from? Has this been something that you've had, a dream that you've had for yonks, or has it just been something that's developed, simmered, come about over the last few years, being that you've been in the property space?
Yeah, look, to be honest, it's been a dream for nearly 20 years.
Wow.
My parents actually acquired a tea farm back in 98, and they actually planted those shrubs back in 98, and we grew to tea from there. And when I first saw the land in 99, I thought, well, we can really do something magical here. And, I had snippets of what I could do and all the rest of it, but I didn't really have the experience and know-how of what to do. And then obviously I came to Australia, and, things happened, and I had a long career. When I was at Sahara Homes last year, this was during COVID, I got really ill. So I was actually hospitalized for more than 6 weeks. Ulcerative colitis problem, and that took a really bad shape. So I was hospitalized, and the doctor basically said, look, you can't take too much of a stress. You can't be running around. You need to take it easy. And in property and in selling, as you know, I mean, the mathematics there is that if you talk to 100 people, if you get 3 out of that, that's a lucky number. So basically the maths are, have conversations with 100, 97 is a maybe or a no, and then 3 are converters. So when you're talking to 100 people and setting appointments with 100 people and running around and meeting 100 people, it's a lot of stress to the body. And people who do properly know this is not something new. So I had to make a decision as to whether or not I wanted to sort of continue in this space, or really do something that meant something for me, and really find my purpose. And I remember reading somewhere a line that said, the purpose of life is to live a life of purpose. So I had to dig really, really deep. I went to a meditation center. I saw a sort of a health specialist in the Ayurveda sort of space, the herbal space. And then from there, I just this idea came about that my purpose really is to do something back home. Like, that has always been a dream. That was always been something that I really wanted to do. So this sort of idea came about. And there was a certain trigger point. So what happened in 2012 was that I was coming back from home, and I was sitting at the transit lounge at the airport in Kathmandu in Nepal. And I met an Australian guy, and we just had a casual conversation. And I said to him, how did you feel? And he was very blunt. He was very honest. He said, look, I'll tell you, but you're not going to like the answer. I said, okay, well, just be honest. And he said, look, I had heard about third world countries, but it's the first time that I've experienced one. I have never seen a place where people are destroying their environment as much as you guys are. It really is so sad that people are doing that, because you've got such a beautiful country, you've got the mountains, you've got the lake, you've got everything happening for you, but you are doing everything in your ability to actually destroy it and not maintain it. And that just sort of stung, as you can imagine. That really like I got teary actually. And just a thought sparked, and I said to myself, like, if one day that I can do something to change that mindset, to do something really creative to make a difference, I will. So yeah, that's one of the trigger points. And 2 years ago I turned 40, so I've probably got about 20 or 25 more years of professional life to contribute. And I thought to myself, look, if I don't do it now, it's now or never. So that's really the start of all this that I'm doing at the moment.
It's incredible. And so what was, I mean, when you're just relating that particular incident, I got sort of chills at that, to a certain extent, you're probably sitting here thinking, as much as I didn't want to hear that, it was the truth.
Yeah,
And sort of,
absolutely.
and and from there, what was the vision? What were you then trying to create from there?
Yeah. So I didn't have a vision per se at that time. I just knew that I wanted to do something. I
Mm,
just knew that if someone is capable of doing it, that I was the one. I
mm,
just knew that if I really put my foot on the ground and just drove this project, that I would be able to create some results.
mm,
Uh, but obviously, as for everybody else, life happens, and you have kids, you have commitments, you have this, you have that. This thought of, how do you leave such a beautiful country like
mm,
Australia? How do you
mm,
leave lifestyle, and how do you replace your $100,000 income with rupees back home? And how
mm,
do you this, that, all this, scenario just drive you crazy. So it was really a matter of taking a plunge and saying to myself, look, it's now or never. Like, I have to do this now,
mm,
otherwise it's gonna be too late. So it's
mm,
really about structuring your life to suit your vision, and then making that decision in your head to say, look, okay, it is going to happen. I'm going to do it. I don't know how I'm going to do it yet, but I'm going to do it. It's going to happen.
yeah.
So, and once you are at that stage, the universe, I think, just starts to give you things. Like
Yeah.
it'll align itself in a way that possibilities things become starting real. So that is really it. And then from there, it's been really easy, to be honest. I was there for the last 4 weeks, and within that 4 weeks, the type of conversations, the words that were coming out of her mouth, uh, within that vision, was just, I was amazed with myself. I managed to raise $500,000 within 4 weeks. And
Mm,
people, and that's a lot of money in Nepal. That is like
mm,
500,000 is,
mm.
500,000 is big here. It's 100 times more over there.
Yeah. Wow.
Literally, not 100, but 91 times more at the
Yes.
moment. Yeah, so I think that the main thing is to actually align your mind to say to yourself, look, this is my vision. I don't know how to do it yet. I don't have all the answers yet, but I'm still going to pursue it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to put everything on a paper. I look at it every day, ask the universe to make it real, and it'll just start coming together. That's
Mm.
all I can.
And is that when you left for Nepal, sort of, a month ago, whichever,
Yeah.
did you have in your mind, I'm going to have, what's going to be included in that tourism hub? I mean, did you have sort of the basis of, I'm going to have, obviously accommodation, it's going to be have this, or did it sort of form itself as you were there?
Yeah, part and parcel, a bit of both. When I left here, because of my experience in the property sort of area, I knew that it had to be done in stages.
Mm,
So stage one had to be really, really minimal, and but at the same time be of the quality that I wanted it to be. Basically, my vision is, creating first world experiences in Nepal. Because of the dialogue that I had, 10 years ago with that person, that is the tagline. Like, I want to create first world experiences. But stage one was always going to be limited budget. So how do you create a first world experiences with a limited budget was the priority. I mean, when you embark on a project like that, you just run through a million ideas every day. So it changes every day. And then when you land on the ground and when you speak to experts on the ground, I mean, the whole thing just flipped on its head, and it was a completely separate thing altogether. So yeah, look, it changes every day, but at some stage, I'm glad that at the moment what we're doing is we've given the engineering team the task to do a topographical survey. So that will give all the elevations, everything that are required to do the planning. And then once I have that, and then we can actually put some, things together, and then create a budget around that and see what works and what doesn't. So I think that's the best way to do it, rather than, go in all different directions saying I can do this, I can do that. I think if we create a structure and say, look, this is our budget, and this is what fits within the budget, and this is what will create a first world experience, I think that's the way to go. At this stage, I'm thinking a little pond where we can do kayaks and a little boating, a sort of a display home with accommodation where I can sell as home and land packages, as investment properties, same as here. I won't be building 30 or 40, but I'll start with one. And then from there, I'll go to the market and say, look, this is the type of product that you'll get. We'll use it as a hotel for you, so you can't actually come and live here, but we'll use it as bed and breakfast, hotel, whatever you want to call it. This is how much it'll cost. This is how much the bank will finance it. This is how much you have to put in. This is your expected revenue, your ROIs, and all that sort of stuff. Yes, I think those are two minimal things, and then there'll be a little eatery on the side where drinks and food and stuff like that. But that's how I'm thinking at the moment. And again, this might change in 2 days' time, but that's how I'm proceeding at the moment.
Yeah, and the basic things. How large is the land?
It's 84,000 square meters, which is about 6 acres, I think.
Sure.
Which is pretty big for there. When you come to Australia, I mean, when people say hectares, it's unheard of in that part of the world. You don't have hectares and hectares of land. The land just doesn't exist. So for people in Australia, that might sound small, but for over there, it's massive.
Yeah, sure.
And
so you've got a bit of land to work with.
Yeah. And we're also in the process of acquiring the land next door, which is about 4 acres extra. So if we need that, we can lease that and do things in it.
Yes.
But at this stage, I think there's enough to get started.
Fantastic. And how did you start off building your team? Because we all talk about when in development, it's about making sure you've got the right team and so on.
Yeah.
Having not developed in Nepal before or something like that, how did you know where to start?
Yeah, so one thing really good about being in the Nepalese community is that, I guess, everybody knows everybody.
Sure.
But we're all somehow connected. If you name one person that of Nepalese background that random in Sydney or Melbourne, give me a couple of hours and I'll find out exactly who he is and what he does, and I can get connected to that person.
Yeah.
So started 6 months ago, I started reaching out to my network, and I said, look, who can I talk to in Nepal that can really help me with this? And I probably talked to, I don't know, more than 200 people in the process. And you get, good ones, you get bad ones, you get, all sorts. And then from there, I filtered around 25. And then when I got there, I got the opportunity to meet all 25. And then from that 25, I filtered down to 2 at the moment.
Wow.
So these are people. I mean, one of them is actually doing $1 billion rupees project in Nepal as we speak, which is phenomenal. I mean, he's absolutely extraordinary. So he has got all the know-hows of, the financing and land and operations and.
So he's a developer.
He's a very seasoned developer, and he knows the operational aspect as well. So this is not just development that I'm embarking on. This will be, obviously we need to develop and construct, but there's also the operational aspect where if you develop a restaurant, someone will run it, and with other business units. So he's got all that know-how. The other person runs a 5-star hotel in one of the biggest cities. So he has a franchise of a brand called Swiss International. So Swiss International actually operates in his hotel, like Hilton or one of those big hotel chains. So we are having conversations with Swiss International at the moment where we're saying, like, if we build something in there, are you able to come and then run it? And we can use your SOPs, your standard operational procedures. We're not experts in that field. You are, so you come in and run it for us, and we'll pay whatever royalties that we need to pay you. So they've sort of agreed in principle.
In principle, yep.
We just need to, I guess, do a bit of a bargaining session with them because they've started a bit high and we want to come a bit low. So that's all we've got.
I'm sure you've done lots of negotiation over the past few years. You'll be able to get them to where you need to be. So, Amit, let's have a look at what this your initial thoughts and all that. Are you able to share some imagery? Would love to see.
Absolutely.
Visually.
I will just share screen. Application window. And there it is. Can you see that?
I think we've got your got the photos. I think there was another screen that you needed to share.
Stop sharing. We'll try again. Share.
So we've got a few people here joining us. So Chad says the 2 most important days of your life are the day you were born and the day you discover why. Yeah,
absolutely.
There we go. There we are.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
So the brand that I've created is called Bagan. So Bagan literally stands for, like, it's a tea garden. A tea garden in Nepalese is called Bagan. So this is literally what it looks like. I mean, obviously there are no hot balloons at the moment, but that's the vision, to have some there and make it look exactly like that.
So is that the land?
No, this is something else. This is close by, but yeah, ours is more flatter. So obviously, I said, my vision is to create first world experiences in Nepal. Vision to create a Bali-like holiday destination in eastern Nepal. So what happened was when we traveled to Bali in 2014, as I said, this is a mix of different things coming together. So that guy saying that going to Bali, this is 2 of the greatest things that came together. So when I went to Bali, what they did was, obviously there was the beaches and the nice hotels and all that sort of stuff. But at the same time, there was a big sort of a rice paddock. And on that rice paddock, we had the plow thing that plows the field. So the guy actually got us to get on the plow, and we plowed plowed the field a little bit. And other people were getting on the plow, and they were having an amazing experience. And then from there, we went and did some, the bow and arrow thing. So they had a target, and then they had a bow and arrow made of bamboo, and then they had a stick, and then they got us to the target. And then the next thing they did was they took us to a bicycle ride near the rice paddock, and there was this little bicycles, and everyone was saying, "Oh, what a great experience!" Blah blah. And then after that, we did some meditation, and all this villagey kind of stuff that we did. And at the end of all that, we paid the guy about $800. And I said, Jesus. I mean, I've grown up with these things. You don't need to pay $800 to have this experience, and all this, is available in my part of the country. So why isn't someone doing that? Why are people so poor and they haven't got access to this? So if someone could create a pathway for tourists to actually experience that in that part of the country.
And pay good
This
money
would make,
for it.
yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
This would make such an incredible difference. So that's how it all came together. So if you see
So
this image here,
employment. So you're impacting employment, obviously impacting the community and the livelihood of people.
yeah. I mean, the whole idea is if I do something like this at this scale, all the necessities that the hotel, the infrastructure needs, is going to come from the community. So the eggs, the chicken, the bread, the this, the that, the fruits, everything. My vision is to make sure that where possible, if you can have that locally, you get that locally, you source it locally, and then if you can't, you just get it from somewhere else. So that's the whole concept of that. So the vision is to create a Bali-like holiday destination in Eastern Nepal, and that's, if you look at that image, really, there's just some coconut trees and palm trees. There's an infinity pool there and a structure which sells. It's a restaurant structure. It's not hard to build. It's really simple in my view, but it's easily doable. The problem that I'm trying to solve there is that the Nepali tourism narrative actually revolves around 3 cities at the moment. So, have you heard of Kathmandu?
I think most of us have.
Okay, not the brand Kathmandu, but it's an actual place.
Yeah. Yes.
So that's the capital of Nepal, obviously, and there's Pokhara and there's Chitwan. So if you go to Nepal at the moment, it feels like there's only 3 destinations. There's Kathmandu, there's Pokhara, and there's Chitwan. And I'm saying, look, these are too old. We need to create a new destination and a Bali-like experience in Nepal that has an enormous potential. The solution that I'm creating is that I'm saying Bali attracts 10 million tourists per annum. Eastern Nepal has everything Bali has to offer plus more. And the solution I'm creating is that we will have a stage-wise development program where on stage 1, we will have, as I said, holiday homes as home and land packages, which I've learned here. I know exactly what to do. You build a display home, you have people through the display home, and you sell the rest as packages. You have a infinity pool, you have a good restaurant, and probably some quad bikes. And I did that about 4 weeks ago, and from that it's changed. But this is an evolving process. So the point is, I'll be having stage 1, 2, 3, 4, and by the time we get to stage 3 and beyond, who knows? There might be a world-class eco city, there might be an international tourist hub, there might be a commercial center. And my view is that once I get to the end of stage 1, beginning of stage 2, there will be plenty of investors, both from domestic and internationally, wanting to invest in that venue, just like Bali. Because if I manage to get enough people interested to go there, obviously investors would like to invest as well. This is interesting. So the business model that I've created is based on a royalty-based model. So you asked before, living in Australia, how are you going to manage all that in Nepal? So my whole thing is that it's going to be a royalty-based company. So accommodation, obviously, it's a home and land package. Investor invest in it, and then there'll be a management company like Swiss will manage it, and then from that, I just want 10%. The investor can have 90% of whatever sales there is. Eatery, like the restaurant, we want an owner operator. So we want someone who's experienced in operating a restaurant, designing menus, managing staff, all that sort of stuff. So you come and we'll build the infrastructure. You come and operate the restaurant, and from that we just need 15% of total sales. You keep the 85%. That gives me the flexibility to actually keep adding components. So whether it's hot air balloon, a zip line, a venue, a meditation, whatever it might be, the whole idea is to get an experienced operator in there, have them run the show, and then from there add 10, 15, 20% clip from each of those business units, so that it runs through an operator and I make my earnings as well. And ultimately, my aim is to actually list that company into the stock exchange.
Fantastic.
Financial plan. So I've done, because I'm an accountant, I've done enormous amount of planning on this one. So I don't want to show you the spreadsheets, but I've got tabs, probably 50 tabs of different things and functions going, just talking to people.
So in Australian dollars, in terms of stage one, like what is this? What's the GRV looking like?
The actual investment is about 1.5 million. And GRV, I don't know. I haven't calculated that yet, because this is based on an operational model and not necessarily.
That's right. It's a build to hold type thing.
Yeah,
It's really hard to value what the end price is when there's nothing really comparable to it.
But because something like this has never been done in the area. I mean, we don't have a hot air balloon in there. We don't have a zip line in there. We don't have a good wedding venue in there. I mean, there's nothing in there. So my view is that, I could easily triple the value in 2 years' time. So from a valuation point of view, even if I did a conservative valuation, I would hope that the total project in 2 years' time after stage one would be valued at least $4 million. And then from there, if I can get investors to invest on that $4 million, if I sell 50% of my shares, that'll be worth $2 million. So I'll be sort of risk-free. And then from there on, we can keep adding. That's the overall vision. My success note, I've got land available. So big A is just something it's like an acre in there. So I don't need to invest in land because land is already available. So the biggest investment for me would have been land, but because I've already got about $2 million worth of land, I don't need further investment. This is a nation building story. So I know that if I say this story authentically to every single Nepalese, that everybody will resonate to this. It'll capture the heart of all Nepalese, because we're actually contributing to the nation, to building a nation. And that's how I want to tell this story. I don't want to say to people, look, invest in this and you'll make a lot of money. I'll say to them, look, this is your opportunity to actually make a difference, to make a contribution. So you might make 15% if you invest in Australia on a subdivision, and you might only make 10% over there. But this is more this is more of a story than anything else.
Yeah, it has some level of social impact and to the community.
Yeah, absolutely, and to the nation, really. And the thing about this is that once we make one model successful, we can always replicate that model into other places. So the challenge for me is to really get the first thing working, and make sure that all the elements are working the way they should be. And once they sort of operate at that level, we can always replicate that in other places and even the world.
Absolutely.
Easy to collaborate with global talent. So this afternoon, I just finished designing a sort of a landing page, which is like a lead generator. So the purpose of that is to actually reach out to the global community, the global Nepalese community all around the world, and say to them, look, we've always complained about how this is not working and how that's not working, and if there was a way to actually contribute to Nepal, we will. Well, I'm taking the step, I'm taking the plunge, I'm taking the risk. Here's your opportunity to actually contribute in whatever way possible. So whether you're a gardener or a chef, or you work in IT, or you're an accountant or a doctor or an engineer, come, let's join hands. And if you can contribute financially, well, let's do it. If not, just share your knowledge, and we can do this together. So I've literally just finished. I'll share that with you as well, and hopefully we can spark a few interest in there. We've been farming in the area for 25 years, so we are the locals. We can work with the locals. Generally, with a project like this, if you were to go and work in China, for instance, at the moment, you would have no idea. But because we've been local for the last 25 years, we know everything. We know the ins and the outs. we can work with the community. Nepal is really a brand. You know, when I say I'm from Nepal, people, they go to a certain spark. It's you know, it's this mystical, magical place where there's, you know, all these Himalayas, and, you know, people get excited about the word. So I think we really need to market that, both nationally and internationally. And then if I can do that justice, I think I'll be really happy. And at the moment, I need to focus on creativity and authenticity, and money will just follow. That's my view at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely.
My target markets, so Nepal 35%. So Nepal's got 27 million population. India 35%. India's got 1.2 billion population. Bangladesh 10%. Bangladesh's got 80 million population. So just between these three countries, Nepal, India, and Bangladesh, and we share borders actually. I mean, 4 days ago, I went to the border between India, Bangladesh, and Nepal. It took me 10 minutes just to cross. Yeah, cross three borders. So we're that close.
So currently, in terms of tourism, where are most tourists coming from? Well, not now. I mean, in normal times.
We get a lot of international tourists. So they're mostly from India, because India has such a big population. I think 65% comes from India. We get a lot of German, like European trekkers who want to do mountaineering. The Indian market is really about you know, shopping, and they want to have fun and clubs and discos and things like that. The European and the American, Australian market is more about, you know, nature and mountaineering and
Meditation.
so because meditation and really, you know, just switching off sort of thing. So because my target market is not revolved around, you know, trekking or mountaineering, anything like that. It's more the fun-based sort of a Bali-like holiday destination. I think most of them will come from the country itself and India in Bangladesh. But having said that, you know, when you market that sort of a destination to the rest of the world, who knows? I mean, you know, I might get 50% Australian. Hopefully. Marketing and sales strategy. So as part of, you know, having a team together, I spoke to an ex-colleague when I worked from Ernst & Young, and she was the marketing executive there. And I said to her, look, this is my vision, you know, what do you think would be the best strategy? And she just, you know, pondered for a while, and she said, look, forget the traditional, the PPPP, the product, place, promotion, and whatever price. That's not going to work for you. She said, look, the first thing you need to do is attract people. And in this day and age, that's the easiest thing to do. You know, if you run a good social media campaign, very well targeted, you will attract a lot of people. Attracting people is not a problem. And if you don't figure that out in the first instance, just keep trying, just keep tweaking things, and ultimately it'll happen. I mean, if you have 2 billion people to work with, and if you can't attract them to one place, you're doing something wrong. So she was pretty blunt about that. And then she said, look, once you attract them to a certain place, your next job is to wow them. So every single person that comes there has to say wow. How you do that is up to you. But if you anticipate their needs and go the extra mile, people get wowed. From there, she said, look, once you attract people and they say wow, you can sell them anything. The thing is, everybody should know what to sell, when to sell, and how to sell it. Because sometimes, you know, you get a lot of people, and then you got salespeople who don't really know what they're doing, and the sales are not there. So you need to make sure everyone who's there on the counter actually knows, you know, what to sell, when to sell, and how to sell. She said, after that, once you start selling, you need to retain them. You know, run an email database or SMS program, or you have all these AI-driven software these days that can actually, you know, newsletters and things like that. So you utilize them and make sure that you retain them. She said, ask for referrals. So once people are wowed, you can always ask for referrals. And then, you know, after you reach a certain benchmark, it'll be word of mouth. And then she also said, focus. Don't try to please everyone. focus on the ones who drive sales. So that database will probably give me who my highest, customers are, spending customers are. So we just need to focus them and send offers and special promotions every now and then to make sure that we keep driving them back. My SWOT analysis, my strength is that it's a purpose-driven project, very few of its kind in Nepal. The weakness we have at the moment is that there's a brain drain. Attracting the right candidate is a challenge. People like us, once we finish year 12, I mean, I think about 65% of the population actually thrives. They want to actually go overseas because of various reasons. Not the right environment, not support, and all that sort of thing. So I think attracting the right talent is a challenge, but that's the reason why I'm trying to create this portal where I want to attract Nepalese globally to make sure that if I need someone, then I can always go to them and ask them for help. Opportunities, it's easily scalable. So once I make one successful, I can replicate that. The threats are there's political instability, there's cross border violence, there's bureaucracy, but I think we've been working there for the last 25 years, so we can sort of handle that. From a location point of view, so here's the tea garden, here's 𝐀𝐦𝐢𝐭 River, which is one of the biggest rivers in Nepal. So it flows from the mountain. The Indian border is literally 5 kilometers away from here.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
There's a 𝐀𝐦𝐢𝐭 Crown 5-star hotel, a casino hotel, which is 10 kilometers. And this attracts a lot of high net individual Indians. So we can easily go to them and collaborate with them and say, look, here, here's a sort of a venue that we can both collaborate with. There's all destinations, which is, there's the airport 25 kilometers away. There's another airport 28 kilometers, Kathmandu, which is the capital, which is 45 minutes away by air. Darjeeling is 92 kilometers away. New Delhi is 2 hours by air. Bangladesh is 47 kilometers. So it's all within the vicinity. So I think it's doable. The investment proposal that I have at this stage is I need a total of 400 investors who will invest. So 20 lakhs is equivalent to about $25,000 at this stage. So I require one person to invest $25,000. That'll give me 80 CR, which is about 2 million. What I'm saying is half of that I'll actually invest in land. So I will actually buy land for these investors in the nearby vicinity because I know that once I start creating these projects, once I'm in stage 1, the value will double. And if I get up to stage 3, it'll probably go 10 times. And people in Nepal actually understand that, the land investment value proposition. I don't need to even sell that. It's already sold. People believe in land, invest in land. So I think that's a sellable proposition. And the remainder, I'll actually invest in the business. And as part of the business investment, they also get shares on the business. So it's a double whammy for them. It's like, okay, you're buying land, the value of the land goes up, and then once the business starts producing positive cash flow, you get return from that as well. So it's a win-win situation. And the worst case scenario from the risk for them is that, I guess, is if I fail on the business part, at least half is invested on land, and that area, the value of the land is always going up. So it sort of mitigates that risk. So these are all the things that I've planned for in the first sort of stage 1. So infinity pool, landscaping, water management, retaining wall, jet skis, boats, restaurants, shops, parking, advertising, others. So and this has got detailed spreadsheets behind that as to exactly what the numbers are. So there is a bit of planning.
Yeah.
And namaste.
And namaste. Beautiful.
Yeah.
And this is it's incredible, and I love to touch base in the next few months or even the next year to see where you're at. And I mean, in terms of financing, just starting to sort of wrap things up, how do you finance the construction and the development of something like that in Nepal? Because, understanding the finance environment in Australia is one thing. We can sort of figure out, all right, well, you put in this much equity into the project, and then this is how much the bank will lend you and how much you got to put in. Is it a similar sort of thing, or is there a lot more complexity involved in financing something like that in Nepal?
Yeah, well, look, I mean, a bank is a bank. It's got a similar financing structure. I think the biggest thing there is the LVR. So I think banks here, finance up to 80 or 70% LVR. The LVR, they can be between 40 and 50%. So
Yeah, right.
if you get 50%, you're really lucky. Otherwise, you really have to put in about 60% equity of your own to finance a project like that, particularly when it's pre-revenue. When after post-revenue, you can get up to 60% because they can see cash flow coming in and they can assess, P&Ls and balance sheets and whatnot. But in the absence of that, banks are not willing to finance pre-revenue projects. That's where I think on stage one, I'll have to go all equity. And that's the reason why I need so many investors. Like I literally need 400 people to actually put money into this. So I'll be knocking a lot of doors. And I think that's at least about, 2,000 to 3,000 phone calls in the next year, and investor presentations and road shows and begging and all that.
I'm sure, and I dare say you may not need that many investors if each. I mean, you're talking about 400 investors, but $25,000 each. Well, if you get a few investors who are willing to put to, $250,000 or $1 million, and then obviously that reduces the number of investors that you have.
I mean, that'd be a dream, but but I just want to make
putting it out to the universe.
Yeah. I thought about a number that would be comfortable for everybody, that everybody could actually afford. And I thought, okay, well, half of that is going to land, half into business, mitigate risk. What is the right number? So that's how the 25,000 came into play. But if someone very generous is watching this project and say, look, hey, I love this guy, I love the project, here's $1 million, that'd be a dream.
You never know. So I mean, it's looking at all of this. It's I really appreciate you sharing this, because a lot of people here, and we talked about this just before we got on. This is really inspiring. We know that at the moment it's very early days. We know, but this is how incredible things come together. Now, this is how our world has come together. It's from what's my why, and then my vision, and then you don't know exactly what it's going to look like, but this is part of the journey. This is part of your journey of getting there.
I just want to say this is that I know a lot of friends within the Nepalese community who are more educated, more talented, more everything than I am. And for some reason, they get stuck in life. Life just comes in the way, and their vision does not come into reality. So I've taken this road of really trying to, work with my life and say, look, I'm going to take the plunge and do this. So it's really about attracting all these people who have that talent and utilizing their skills to actually make a positive contribution. So through this, if I can, spark that little thing in your head to say, look, this is the right opportunity, let's get started, that'd be great, because that's the whole intention of this, is to get as many people as involved as possible, and spark that conversation and just see where it leads. It is not about money. It is not about return on investment. It is not of any of that. It is about making a contribution from the land where you came from. And if that means that you lose $25,000 in the way, I'm happy to do that. If someone was doing exactly what I'm doing and they said to me they were doing this project, can you give me $25,000? And the risk to me was to lose that $25,000, I would happily do it. But if I can spark that interest in all the Nepalese community and really get together on this, that'd be beautiful.
That'd be incredible. And again, it's no matter whether it's in Nepal or anywhere else, whether it's in Australia, somewhere else in the world, right? the core thing is we come back to that why, understanding what your purpose is in life. Like you said at the very, very beginning, we get so caught up in life, in busyness, in family, work, and everything else, and we don't get to have that silent, quiet time to sort of really sit down and go, am I doing what I should be doing with my life? And am I exploring and chasing that passion, that burning desire in me to be doing something more, which is exactly what you're doing now. And I'd love for us to be able to see how this unravels and how it comes together. Anyone that's listening today, if you're inspired in some way and want to be able to connect with Amit, want to see his sort of dream come true, as well as it's not just his, it's obviously for the wider community, the wider country, and the nation as well. So I appreciate that very much, Amit. And again, if people want to find out more about what your project and how they can contribute in some way, how can they get in touch with you?
Yeah, look, I am a member of the Property Australia Development Group, so you can always message me through the Messenger app, and I'm happy to leave my details as well with you, Cheryl, and you can share that with them.
Yeah,
and
excellent.
I haven't got a website or anything yet, so once the website goes live, if you could pass it around, that'd be great.
Excellent. We definitely will do so. So thank you so much, Amit, for sharing. It's been so cool to see this, and just the initial parts of it coming together, and the bits and pieces are going to fall into place. Whatever it might be, it might look totally different to what your presentation is today, but that's not the point. The whole point is that it's the journey, not necessarily what you're envisioning it now. That's going to be an evolution. So we definitely will have you back over the next 6 months or 12 months, whichever, and keep posting, keep sharing what you're doing there.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
If we can get all the members of Property Australia Group to go to Nepal when it's all ready, that'd be great.
That would be incredible. We'll do a big field trip.
Yeah.
We'll do a big field trip there.
20% discount from the members. There we go.
Oh, there you go. I think I will definitely be. I've never been to Nepal. I've heard amazing things, but like you said, like for me, for someone who has children as well, like I wanted them to see the beauty side of things, but also something that's a little bit more comfortable as opposed to the backpacking. And so this might give us an opportunity to do that, where it becomes part of a family holiday as well. So that's
as I said, Nepal, I mean, one thing we can really build on is the meditation aspect. So Nepal has the Buddhist meditation aspect as well as the Hindu aspect. So what I'm trying to do as part of the exercise is to combine the two together, because they totally come from different backgrounds, but the message they're trying to give out is similar. And I'm trying to say that they're not different, they're similar. I mean, meditation is meditation, but the delivery process might be different. So that is something that we can really sort of promote in the international.
Yeah, fabulous. Well, I look forward to seeing all of that. I mean, thank you so much for your time, and thank you everyone that has joined us this evening. Make sure you visit and subscribe to our YouTube channel if you like to listen to any more of our episodes in the business of property. You can find it all on our YouTube page called The Business of Property. And if you found value in today's show and value in what Amit has to share, please reach out. Definitely he is on Facebook. You can drop him a private message, and also watch the replay on the Business of Property YouTube page. Hit the like button and get notified when new episodes pop up. So till next time, keep well, and I'll see you again on the Business of Property. Good night. Thank you.
Thanks, Cheryl.
Bye-bye.